A very good evening. Assalamu alaikum to all our viewers who have just tuned in to Question Time on Islam Live from the Ahlebait studios with your host, Naveed Hussain. Alhamdulillah, with our Islamic scholar, Syed Musawi, who joins you, the viewers around the globe, to answer any questions, any concerns, any comments that you may have. And indeed, we are entering into a blessed night, indeed, a blessed month, the month of Rajab. And indeed, it is the night of the Wiladat of our fifth Imam, Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam. And with this, I'd like to convey my congratulations to our Islamic scholar, all those who are watching, and especially to the Imam of our time, Sayyidina. Welcome once again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah bless you and all our brothers and sisters. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad wa ajjil farajahum. This night, which is the first night of the month of Rajab, the night of the birth anniversary of Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salam, the fifth Imam from the 12 Imams of Islam who are the real successors of the Prophet of Islam, Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him and his holy progeny. We need to first thank Allah who granted us another chance to be alive in a new month of Rajab. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. And as we don't know whether we will be alive next month of Rajab or not, we thank Allah for granting us this great chance, and we seek from Him to enable us to utilize this great opportunity to get more blessings, more forgiveness, more mercy, and more from His grace. The month of Rajab is, according to the hadith, is the month of Allah. The hadith says the month of Rajab is the month of Allah, and the month of Sha'ban is the month of the Prophet, and the month of Ramadan is the month of the Muslim Ummah. The month of Rajab is one of the 4 months which is called Al-Ashhur Al-Hurum. In the year, we have got 4 months, which are 4 only, which are sacred months. Shahr Haram, in which it is haram to initiate war. Only defend yourself, but never initiate war. The 4 months are the month of Rajab, and the month of Dhul Hajj, and the month of Dhul Qa'dah, and the month of Muharram. The month of Rajab is a station where the believers can get spirituality, forgiveness, and can get lot of blessings. When we read the number of hadiths regarding the greatness of the month of Rajab, we find that there is big secret hidden in this month of Rajab. The month of Rajab is the month during which the birth anniversary of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam took place. Tira Rajab, 13th of Rajab. We have got also the birth of Imam Muhammad al-Baqir, birth of Imam Ali al-Hadi al-Naqi, alayhima as-salam. So the greatness of the month of Rajab is very clear from the hadith. We have got in the month of Rajab many a'mal. Number one, for tonight being the first night, let me tell you about tonight and tomorrow, the first of Rajab. Ghusl is recommended. The hadith says, the mu'min who is alive in a month of Rajab, if he performs ghusl in the beginning of it and mid of it and end of it, he will come out of his sins as if he was newly born. Also, it is recommended in the first night of Rajab to spend the night in the ibadah. The hadith says that, this hadith from Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam is speaking about his great-grandfather Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. He said Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam used to like to be free only for ibadah in 4 nights in the year. First night of Rajab, and the night of 15th of Sha'ban, and the night of Eid al-Fitr, and the night of Eid al-Adha, Eid Qurban. Also, it is recommended in this first night of Rajab to pray 2 rak'at namaz. In the first rak'at, after Alhamd, we recite Surah Alam Nashrah Laka Sadrak 1 time, then 3 times Qul Huwa Allahu Ahad. Also, in the second rak'at, after Alhamd, we recite 1 time Alam Nashrah Laka Sadrak, then 1 time Qul Huwa Allahu Ahad, and 1 time Al-Falaq, and 1 time An-Nas. There are simple a'mal mentioned in the books of dua, like Mafatih al-Jinan and other books of dua. So it is good that we take some time tonight and try to perform whatever we can perform from the ibadah. Tomorrow is the 1st of Rajab. So as it is the beginning of the month, it is recommended to pray 2 rak'at namaz of the start of the month. Every month, in the first day of it, it is recommended to pray 2 rak'at namaz, which is called Salat Awwal al-Shahr, the Salah of the start of the month. First rak'at after Alhamd, 30 times Qul Huwa Allahu Ahad. Second rak'at after Alhamd, 30 times Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. And give any amount of sadaqah for safety of yourself and your family and the mu'mineen, and mainly for the safety of Imam Zaman, Ajjal Allahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. I would like to mention an important matter, that the a'mal which we recite and we do in the month of Rajab, like istighfar, repeating astaghfirullah every day 70 times, like fasting, as we know that fasting has got great reward in the month of Rajab and month of Sha'ban. What is the aim of these a'mal? The aim of these a'mal is to purify ourselves from the filth of sinful acts during the previous months. Month of Rajab is a purification station for the believers. It is not only to recite and to repeat. Yes, it is recommended to repeat La ilaha illallah. It is recommended to repeat Surah Qul Huwa Allahu Ahad 100 times every day, especially on Friday in Rajab. But the aim of the recitation and repeating the recitation is to uplift our spirituality, to clean our hearts, to make us away from sinful acts and mainly sinful habits. Because some people have got habit, a person who has habit to be angry on his children or on his wife. That is a bad act. But in the month of Rajab and Sha'ban and the month of Ramadan, we go through a procedure of purification to be away from our sinful acts and mainly our sinful habits. And we need to check up to what extent we have defeated shaitan and kept ourselves away from the sinful acts and the sinful habits. If we are able to defeat shaitan, then we will get great reward and great results. In fact, those believers who perform the worshipping in the month of Rajab, Sha'ban, and the month of Ramadan, they are newly born after these 3 months. They will be very near to the paradise. And that is the main reason why we focus on ibadah in the month of Rajab, Sha'ban, and month of Ramadan. Briefly, in the month of Rajab, don't forget repeating istighfar, and don't forget fasting. As you know that anyone who has got qada fast on him, he should first perform the qada fast. Even in the month of Rajab, when you perform your qada fast, you will get the reward of the qada and the reward of fasting in Rajab. May Allah bless you all and your families, and go to the books of dua, reciting the dua of Rajab, the du'as. We have got many du'as, many supplications from Ahlul Bayt in the month of Rajab, and ziyarat of Ahlul Bayt in this month of Rajab.
Thank you very much indeed for that very important opening of tonight's show. Sayyidina, regarding, you mentioned about fasting, of obviously if people had qadha fast, they should fast during this holy month. Sayyidina, if you had a mannat, like that you will fast for 2 or 3 days, can you combine that niyat? For example, you had a mannat that you will, if something happens, then you will fast, as you know, obviously with the mannat fast. But can you combine that, for example, the first Thursday of Rajab with the intention and the intention of the mannat fast you had? Can you combine this in one fast?
Mannat is wajib, which we call it in Arabic nadhr. In English, oath. It is wajib. So wajib fast is for one intention. It cannot be wajib and recommended. No. But when you perform the wajib mannat fast in the month of Rajab, you will get the reward of the mannat and the reward of fasting in the month of Rajab as well.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Thank you very much indeed. Sayyidina, we know that in Ithna Ashari Shiaism, they have lots of du'as. There's so much a'mal that a person can do. In fact, there's a sea of du'as and a'mal. Do our Ahl Sunnah brothers or other other Muslim brothers and sisters, do they have the amount of du'as and a'mal like the Shias do, especially during the month of Rajab and Sha'ban?
This is one of the tragedies of the Muslims who left Ahlul Bayt and went to others. When Islam came, the pious Muslims were called by the Prophet as Shia of Ali. That is in Sunni books. In Sunni books, go to Tafsir al-Tabari, Tafsir al-Tabari. When Allah sent the verse on the Prophet, those who believed and did good are the best of creatures. The Prophet said, they are Ali and his Shia. Hum anta ya Ali wa shi'atuk. So the Prophet himself gave the title of Shia to the best Muslims, like Salman, like Abu Dharr, like Ammar, like Miqdad, like Abu Hudayfa, or Hudayfa ibn al-Yaman, and other pious Muslims. In Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also mentioned the name of Shia being a title of his great prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. Allah has given Ibrahim the title of Shia. Allah said in Surah Al-Saffat, وَإِنَّ مِنْ شِيعَتِهِ لَإِبْرَاهِيم. Ibrahim was a Shia, follower of the previous prophet, Nuh alayhi salam. And in Quran also you read that the followers of the prophet are called Shia of the prophet. As you read in Quran, in Surah Al-Qasas, وَدَخَلَ الْمَدِينَةَ عَلَى حِينِ غَفْلَةٍ مِنْ أَهْلِهَا. Musa alayhi salam entered the city and when the people were unaware of him, فَوَجَدَ فِيهَا رَجُلَيْنِ يَقْتَتُلَانِ. He found in the city two men fighting one another. هَذَا مِنْ شِيعَتِهِ وَهَذَا مِنْ عَدُوِهِ. One is from his Shia followers and the other is from his enemies. Then Allah is giving the title of Shia of the Prophet to all the followers of the Prophet. Shia Muslims have got the great bounties of the pure teachings of the Prophet, which were taken through Ahlul Bayt, the most pious and most knowledgeable of all the Ummah after the Prophet. From the knowledge which the Shia Muslims gained from Ahlul Bayt is the great treasures of dua. Dua which we got from Ahlul Bayt is uncomparable. Ask anyone to give you any dua like dua Kumail in the books of any Muslim sect out of the Shia Muslims. Ask anyone to give you dua like dua Abi Hamza al-Thumali, dua like dua al-Sabah, dua like Yastashir, Mashlul, the great dua in As-Sahifa, As-Sajjadiyya. You cannot. Our Sunni brothers don't have such great du'as. They have some narrations here and there. Nawawi is one of their sheikhs. he compiled a book, which when you go through it, we don't find in it even 1% from the great du'as which we got from Ahlul Bayt. Here I would like to mention two incidents, one in Europe and one in Medina. In Europe, a well-known Christian scholar who used to come in the radio programs talking about religion. This scholar, by chance, he came across English translation of Sahifa al-Sajjadiyya al-Kamila. He was amazed. And he said, I have never seen a book of supplication so deep in the heart of the human being and the mind of human being like this book. And he, because of that book, he became a Muslim and became a follower of Ahlul Bayt. And he said that if Muslims publish this translation, 1 million copies of Sahifa Kamila, he said at least 1 million new Muslim will enter Islam and be follower of Ahlul Bayt. I'll give you another matter in Medina. In Medina, one Sunni doctor from Medina, he used to work in Jeddah in the hospital. He himself said, I came on Thursday evening to enter the haram of the Prophet. The police told me the doors are closed because the Iranians are gathered to recite something which they recite every Thursday night. So no one can enter and mix with them. And he said that the people who stopped me, they attacked the Shias and they said they will speak. The Shias, they gather and they speak shirk. So he said, I waited. They told me, wait till they finish and go, and then you can enter. He said, I waited. They started reciting their dua. Then I was hearing. I was amazed how great dua in Arabic, till it reached to a sentence which made me shiver. What sentence? He said, I heard them saying, Ilahi wa Rabbi wa Sayyidi wa Mawlai man li ghayruk. Oh my Lord, who do I have but you? He said, when I heard them saying, man li ghayruk, who do I have but you? I shivered. I was shocked. What great dua. So I went to them. I said, please, can you give me the booklet that you're reading from? I want this dua. I took it from them and I kept it with me. And he said that I keep it with me wherever I go. Even in my hospital when I work and I get gap of break, I open that booklet and recite from it, because I have never seen any dua in my life greater than this dua, which is dua Kumail. My respected Sunni brothers and sisters, one leading Sunni scholar in Libya, he used to deliver the Friday sermon. Then he started reciting parts of the sermon of Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam again and again, week after week. So some people went to him and told him, why you are repeating this? Because this is only among the Shias. He said, yes, I became a Shia. How? He said, I got a copy of book of dua from a person who came from Beirut. When I read the dua, the book is called Mafatih al-Jinan. When I read the dua in that book, I said, it is impossible for this dua to be from human being. It must be from the Prophet, from Allah. And he gave example of dua al-Kumail, dua al-Sabah, dua Abi Hamza, and other duas. So the great treasure of dua is a gate for those who want the truth to follow the real Islam. Simple comparison between the dua from Ahlul Bayt and dua of others will make it very clear that Ahlul Bayt's knowledge is from the Prophet, whose knowledge is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Thank you very much, Sayyidina, for that beautiful and detailed answer. Inshallah, we pray that our Sunni brothers and sisters also benefit from the dua that the Shias have, inshallah. Sayyidina, next question is regarding the angel of death. Now, it's quite a long question, but at the end, the question says, the question is, does the angel of death start the death process before he announces himself, then, or does he introduce himself, then begin the process? And secondly, are there any hour or timing in the hadith as to how long he is here? Like, for example, when he's extracting the soul, how long is he there among the people when he's extracting the soul? If you could please answer that.
We don't, at least I can say that I didn't come through details about the time. Some people die because of illness, and their last moments of life is known to them. They know before they die that they are going to die. And we have got hadith that the soul death starts from the feet and goes up to the legs and up till the soul comes out from the head. But some people die in a second. In a second. Some people die out of heart attack, heart failure, or any accident. May Allah protect all the mu'mineen from any harm. So we don't have details of time. Allah's order. Allah gives order to the angel of death to take the soul of so-and-so. But we have got that every believer, when he dies, he will see the Prophet and Ahlul Bayt. Even the statement from Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ya Hara Hamdan, May yamut yarani. Allah will make the Prophet and the infallibles come to the person who is dying. They will give the good news to the believer. And those who die with kufr, shirk, nifaq, oppression, crimes, they will see the beginning of their punishment. So the mu'min will get the good news when he dies. That's why Imam Hassan alayhi salam, when he was being asked about death, Imam replied, death is the happiest day in the life of the believer. The most happy day in the life of the believer when he dies, because he will be transferred from a life which has got good and bad, challenges, illnesses, difficulties, to a life, being a mu'min, he will be transferred to a life of mercy and peace. So this is the matter. No details about the timing. Everyone has got his own situation. May Allah give all of us the best peace while dying, as we read in the dua that our Imam used to pray in the sajda, Allahumma inni as'aluka at-tawbata qabla al-maut wal-rahata 'inda al-maut wal-maghfirata ba'da al-maut wal-'afwa 'an al-hisab. Oh Allah, grant me that when I die, I should die with complete purity from any sin, teaching us, the sinners, and comfort when we die, and the mercy after death, and forgiveness in the day of judgment. Yes, please.
Thank you very much indeed. Said that regarding the angel of death, is it true that there is no one in history from Hazrat Adam alayhi salam till the last person up until the day of judgment, that the angel of death does not ask permission to take the soul, except what we find in history where the angel of death asks for permission to enter the house of Bibi Fatima salamullah alayha? Is this true?
Yes, we have got that in our books. No doubt the status of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him and his whole progeny, is the highest status, and the status of his holy progeny Ahlebait is the highest after him. So whatever Allah granted the Prophet, granted them, except prophethood. He is the last and final greatest prophet. Ahlul Bayt are not prophets, but they are from him. So their status is from his status, alayhi salam.
And so again, a question regarding the angel of death. Is it true that when it came down to taking the soul of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, that there was no angel of death, meaning that God himself directly asked Imam Hussain and said, come back to your Lord? So is it correct to say that there was no, in the middle, there was no angel of death? It was only Imam Hussain and God, and it was God who took the soul of Imam Hussain?
In Quran, Allah says, Allahu yatawaffa al-anfusa hina mawtiha. Allah takes back the souls when the souls die, when the person dies. So that is in Quran. But in Quran as well, we read that قُلْ يَتَوَفَّاكُمْ مَلَكُ الْمَوْتِ الَّذِي وُكِّلَ بِكُمْ. Tell people that the angel of death, who is deputed to take your souls, will take your souls. Usual people's souls are taken by the angels. Allah's most humble servants, like Imam Hussain alayhi salam, Allah himself takes his soul.
Subhanallah. Thank you very much indeed. So then a question, next question. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
Whenever it says in the A'mal to recite 70 times, is it necessary or better to recite on, for example, tasbih, or we recite on fingers?
When there is a specific number in A'mal, if the number is being mentioned in authentic hadith, yes, we need to abide to what the hadith says. Because the Prophet and Ahlul Bayt, peace and blessing be upon him and them, when they order us to recite 7 times, 3 times, they don't do that without reason. There is a genuine reason, so we have to abide to that.
Thank you very much indeed, Sayyidina. Sayyidina, question, what is the importance of recognizing our Imam, our living Imam, Imam Mahdi Ajalallahu Ta'ala Farajul Sharif?
The importance of recognizing the Imam is like the importance of recognizing and believing and following the Prophet himself during his time. You see, everyone can say that I believe in Allah, but during the time of the Prophet of Islam, the Jewish people, the Christians also, they used to pray. And they used to say that we believe in Allah. But was it enough for them? No. Without recognizing, believing, and following the Prophet of Islam, the person is not really following Allah. Allah wanted the people of every time to follow his deputy in that time. Hujjatullah, the proof of Allah. And in every time, the Hujjah of Allah is either the Prophet or his divine successor. If someone during the life of the Prophet of Islam says, I pray to Allah, I remember Allah, I do charity, I don't care who is a Prophet, we'll tell him, you are not a real follower and not believer in Allah properly. Today, who is the proof of Allah? Who is the person that everyone from us is ordered to follow him? The successor of the Prophet. Now, the successor is the number 12 Imam. The Imam, number 12, who is Imam Al-Mahdi, alayhi salam. Without knowing him, without recognizing him, without believing in him as the proof of Allah, the divine leader of everyone from us, without that, our Iman is incomplete. As it exactly like a person who used to live in the time of the Prophet, not caring for the Prophet, not recognizing the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him and his holy progeny. That's why it is crucial and compulsory and essential to recognize the Imam and to believe in him as the divine leader, the last successor of the Prophet, and the Hujjah, the proof of Allah on everyone on this earth. It is compulsory. Without that, no Iman. And even in Sunni books, go to Sahih Muslim, go to Musnad Ahmad bin Hanbal, go to the book of Ibn Abi Asim, which is called Kitab al-Sunnah, and many other Sunni books. The hadith is very clear. Anyone who dies without recognizing the Imam of his time and giving allegiance to him will die a death of jahiliyyah, ignorance. من مات وليس في عنقه بيعة مات ميتة جاهلية. I would like to ask my respected and dear Sunni brothers, allegiance to whom? We have given allegiance to Imam al-Mahdi, being the Imam of our time, and the 12th divine leader after the Prophet of Islam. Tell me, whom did you give allegiance to? To the king of your country? I mean, the Muslims who live in occupied Palestine should give allegiance to the Israeli prime minister? And look at the allegiance, that if you don't give allegiance, you will die death of jahiliyyah. Is it possible that Muslims in occupied Palestine are being required to give allegiance to the leader in their country? No. It is the allegiance to the divine leader of our time, who is the Imam from Ahlebait alayhim as-salam.
Thank you very much indeed, Sayyidina. Sayyidina, some color names, such as claret and burgundy, are named after the color of wines. Is it permissible to use these names, or is it better to use non-alcohol related synonyms?
You see, alcohol, wine is an evil. According to Quran, Allah says, رجس من عمل الشيطان فاجتنبوه. Evil from the act of shaitan, so avoid it. Avoiding it in any way. Don't come near to it. Don't even sit on a table where alcohol is being served. Don't come near it. And I say, don't take the name of alcohol. Don't promote alcohol's color, wine color. The hadith from the Prophet says, the person who dislikes something will dislike mentioning it, and will dislike it being mentioned in front of him. Means he will not mention it, and he will not like anyone else to mention it in front of him. So we don't like the wine at all. And we should not mention any color which is specifically used for the alcohol. Nowadays, people say, when they say W for what? They say W for whiskey. We say no. We say W for water. W for west. W for wing. We don't say for whiskey. Why? Because we don't want to mention an evil. So not to mention a color which is specifically used for any type of alcohol being an evil.
Thank you very much indeed, Sayyidina. Sayyidina, a question. I am building a website where users can review products, and these may sometimes include products such as pork and alcohol. Will it be sinful for me if someone reviews such products or businesses on our website?
You as a Muslim should avoid promoting any sinful product, any evil product. As I mentioned, alcohol is an evil. Pork is also. So don't make your website promote sinful material. I mean, you are a Muslim. You should not make your website in a way which can be misused by wrongdoers to propagate haram things or haram business. Tomorrow, if you make a product or say application or website and keep it open, tomorrow even adultery people can misuse it. So you are responsible to make all the arrangements to keep your website or your application open to lawful business only, and don't keep it open to unlawful business. That is your responsibility. But if you keep it open and wrong people come and misuse it, you will be then responsible.
Thank you very much indeed, Sayyidina. Sayyidina, what are the issues to be considered, such as around inheritance or any other Islamic aspect, when raising an illegitimate child that is not yours? And how can these challenges be overcome?
Number one, to look after a needy child who has no father or no mother. Raising a child in need is a great deed of reward. The hadith says, أنا وكافل اليتيم في الجنة كهاتين. The Prophet himself said that myself and a person who sponsored an orphan will be together in paradise like these two fingers, I mean the index and the middle, so near to one another. So to sponsor a child in need is a great act of virtue. But it is haram to deprive the child from his real family name. It is haram to claim that the child is your real son or real daughter. When the child is baligh, then hijab rules must be observed. Inheritance, as the child is not real child for you, no inheritance between you and the child. But you are free to gift the child whatever you want to gift during your life. And if you want to make a will in his favor or in her favor, you can do so, but the will in favor of others has got limit of 1/3 of all what you leave. So there are ways to give the child whatever you want to give, either gifting him or her, or will which should not exceed 1/3. But there is no inheritance because you are not the real parent and they are not the real child of yours. There are ways for you to give them.
Thank you very much indeed, Sayyidina. So then we move on to our next question is, how are we supposed to use Western toilets in a way that complies with Islamic rulings?
I mean, using the toilet, any toilet, we need to be careful that najis item should not reach our body. And if it reaches, we need to wash it. But if it reaches, it is not enough to just wipe it with tissue or wet tissue. No, water. When you go to the toilet, you need to clean your body with water. Let me say, after urinating, then we must use water to clean the parts of the body where the urine touched. If you go to the toilet and you don't, go to the toilet and pass stool, you can use the tissue, the paper tissues, in cleaning yourself. After removing the najis item, wiping it 3 times is enough. In short, when you use the English toilet, be careful not to let any najis item or even najis water to touch your body. And if it touches, you need to wash it with water.
Thank you very much.
I would like to mention here that yesterday, the Muslim Ummah lost a great scholar in Qom. One of the top ulama. He was not only a marja of taqleed for thousands of people in Qom, Tehran, and other parts in the Islamic Republic of Iran, but he was a great author. He is Grand Ayatullah Sheikh Lutfullah Safi Gulpaigani. May Allah grant him a great degree in the paradise. The great scholar, despite that he was from the top ulama, was so humble. Imagine the humbleness of the scholars of Islam. He kissed the hand of an African student. Look at the humbleness. Look at the high morality of the scholars who are students of Ahlebait alayhim salam. Look at the respect of knowledge in the school of Ahlebait. A great scholar. His age was, in fact, when he passed away, his age was more than 100 years. More. But he was so humble, so dedicated, and he was so much involved with proving the truth of Ahlul Bayt. He wrote many great books. And whenever Imam Hussain was mentioned, he was weeping and weeping. He made a will that after death, he wanted his dead body to be buried near Imam Hussain. Here we pay tribute to the great scholar, the Grand Ayatullah Safi Gulpaigani. May Allah grant him great status in paradise, and may Allah prolong the life of all our living maraja of taqleed. And I request all our brothers and sisters to recite for him and for all the mu'mineen, especially your own deceased ones, Surah Al-Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawm ad-Din. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يقول هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد.
Thank you very much indeed. And with those beautiful words, Sayyidina, we have come to the end of our show. I'd like to remind our viewers to keep our Islamic scholar, myself and the Ahlebait team in your humble du'as, especially during the month of Rajab, the month of Sha'ban and month of Ramadan. Until next week, dear viewers, do join us same time. Wassalamu alaikum